It is not over with joy as the 82 released Chibok schoolgirls continue to receive warm embrace. When it comes from the soul of motherhood in the country, you can imagine what it will be like. We're bringing you that. On the wheel of progress for infrastructure, the transport sector takes preeminent place during discussions at the Federal Executive Council session. It's about better ways to handle roads. And on special assignment desk, do you remember the famous Naraguta Leather Works of Nigeria? Whether you have been to that community or not, we're taking you into a reflection of what it means today to bring about a rebirth. My name is Fatima Abbas Hassan. You're welcome to News Extra this Wednesday. The first ordinary session of the 4th Legislature of the Economic Communities of West African States, ECOWAS Parliament, has commenced with finding ways of charting a new course for functional development. It intends to address the salient social-economic factors that hamper development for member countries. Olainka Ojo, reports that the ECOWAS Parliament specifically commended Nigeria's success in fighting insurgency.
This is the first ordinary session for 2017. It is composed of all the 15 member states. During the sitting at the ECOWAS Parliament in Abuja, areas of deliberation before the members will be insecurity, terrorism, migration, human trafficking, lack of diversification of national economies, and absence of infrastructure that will guarantee functional development for their people.
Make our parliament the classic institution for monitoring the commitment and adherence of member states to the integration process.
Speaker, ECOWAS Parliament Mustapha Siselo, reiterating good governance, transparency and accountability as panacea for economic growth, commended Nigeria's federal government for securing the release of 82 adopted Chibok schoolgirls. He described it as a feat worthy of emulation.
Thank you. The
fight against terrorism is now a priority in the programs of our government.
Nigeria's President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, urged members of the parliament to engineer ideas aimed at unifying the region using tools for developmental cooperation.
We must remain vigilant to guarantee that the regional framework for liberal trade engagement is not misused.
Speaker, National Assembly of Mali, Isaka Sidibe, and that of Cape Verde, Pedro dos Santos, urged members to deepen political and diplomatic relations.
Of small arms and other challenges, it will address it.
The first ordinary session is expected to end on the 25th of May. In Abuja, Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Federal Executive Council has approved a memorandum by the Ministry of Transportation seeking to commence negotiations on the concession of some federal roads. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has more on this and other deliberations at the Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja today.
The Federal Ministry of Transportation, Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, and that of Health all got their memos approved today at the Federal Executive Council meeting, presided over by Acting President Yemi Osinbajo. For the Ministry of Transportation, 2 memos were approved by the Cabinet.
One is that the Cabinet has approved that we commence negotiation after we submitted the OBC. OBC is the outline business case that was submitted by GE. So now the transaction advisors will now commence negotiation with GE to conclude the concessioning of the narrow gauge, which starts from Lagos to Kano, Funtua, Karan and other area, and then from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, which includes Abao, Mahia, Enugu, Makurdi, Jos, Bauchi, Gombe, and up to Maiduguri. The next memo that was also approved has to do with the consultants that will supervise the construction of the Lagos-Ibadan Railway. And when we award the Kano-Kaduna Railway, the same consultants have also been approved.
The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment got the nod to establish a Nigerian office for trade negotiation, to be headed by a chief negotiator. This, as he explained, was as a result of insufficient coordination of trade agreements, which happens virtually in the ministries, departments, and agencies, with consequences for the nation.
Objectives of that office will be to help us to coordinate the various trade discussions and negotiations that we hold, and to achieve coherence in our policies so that our policies will pull our trade together. It will also help us in our implementation of the economic recovery and growth plan, because clearly there's an intention to engage and work with other countries in that process. The last thing I would say is that we also want to make sure we have trade remedies against dumping, remedies against substandard goods, and all the other things, which is something that is allowed the world over. I think this office will also take responsibility to make sure we achieve those remedies.
The Council also approved a memorandum from the Federal Ministry of Health to introduce a new yellow card that has advanced security features.
With this new card, you cannot fake the yellow card. Using a card reader, we can also document your vaccination status. So we'll know whether, in fact, you've been genuinely vaccinated or not. And as soon as we start the rollout, we will let the Nigerian community know about the date of commencement. We'll let them know what to do with the existing card they are holding and when we will phase out the old one.
While briefing the press, the Minister of Information and Culture gave a clarification on the letter by the President to the National Assembly.
The operative sentence is in compliance with Section 1451. Any other words used is not relevant.
In the State House, Jide Onifate, NT News.
Once again, President Muhammadu Buhari has exhibited respect for constitutional provision and good democratic tenets by the transmission of a letter making the Vice President and acting President with full authority to work as such when he proceeded to a further medical checkup trip to London. In this special report, political correspondent Abdullahi Garba Birnin Kudu examines this feat by the President to Nigeria's democracy.
Section 145 of the Nigeria's constitution requires formal notification to the bicameral legislature, which will ultimately lead to authorization of power to the vice president and ensure no vacuum is created in the executive.
I wish to inform the distinguished Senate that I will be away for a scheduled medical follow-up with my doctors in London.
The length of my stay will be determined by the doctor's advice. While I'm away, the Vice President will coordinate the activities of the government.
Although it is a constitutional provision, President Buhari's display of statesmanship in upholding the right to democratic culture, political observers and legal practitioners say is a plus to Nigeria's democracy.
It's a respecter of the Constitution. The various offices are creations of the Constitution. And once there is compliance, I think what he's doing is within the ambit of the law.
What? It shows that the democracy of our dream is gradually coming to fruition. We are not there yet, but if we have a president that is trying as much as possible to follow the dictates of the Constitution, then it should be commended and also recommended for other tiers of government to follow suit.
It could be recalled that the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, had earlier commented on the issue, which he described as a good omen to Nigeria's democratic tenets.
The president, in the first instance, didn't need to be pressured by anyone or placard carrying demonstrators or so-called do-gooders. Pressure him to say, he said, no, I'm not, I'm going on vacation. This is the constitutional process. VP should take over and while I'm away. And that's excellent. This is exactly what he has done. There is absolutely no vacancy. Even when he was here, he had acted in full capacity as president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And now that he had transmitted power to the vice president, who is equally capable, equally competent, and he's proven his own mettle. It will be well with the country.
Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo had since acknowledged the transfer of power to him by President Buhari and now sitting as acting president. The clarification is contained even in a Twitter public domain, which he says, "The president did hands over power to me."
Well, both the legal practitioners and political observers believe President Muhammadu Buhari has set a precedent worthy of emulation by all political office holders as respecter of the rule of law. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Birnin Kudu, NTA News.
Thank you very much, Abdullahi. And I'm being joined now in the studio by Rafiu Lawal Rabana, a senior advocate of Nigeria, to discuss further on the issue. We're glad to have you in the studio.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Now, let's begin. Can you tell us what is the constitutional requirement for the situation where a sitting president is not available for office?
Well, Section 145 of the Constitution is very clear and unambiguous.
Okay.
That where the president is proceeding on vacation or he is unable to carry out the function of his office for whatever reasons, he is expected to communicate his absence to the National Assembly through the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And once that is done, automatically the Vice President assumes the functions and powers of the President as an acting President. Okay. So the Constitution has taken care of that. But unfortunately, the way we are in this country is sentiments, and people don't even understand very simple wordings of the Constitution, which is the grand norm we all apply in our day-to-day governance. The President swore to uphold the Constitution, and which I believe he has done. No matter the language, the Constitution did not prescribe how the letter should be transmitted, or it says that the President will transmit. So the choice of language or words will definitely not diminish the provisions of 145 or take away that power that automatically goes to the Vice President to act as acting President in his absence.
Well, but is there any difference between what the President did before his during his first journey, you know, in February, and this one?
There is no difference. But the problem really is this, and we must tell it so that people can hear. The presidential aides, people in the presidency, should be very careful of choice of language and words. It is the choice of language or the expression that coordinate affairs that is creating all this. Even the president, what does he do? He coordinates all the executive arm of government.
Yes.
Governors do ditto for their ministries. So I believe the president, in his desire to say, look, I'm going, the Vice President will take charge and coordinate all affairs. He may have said so, but it shouldn't have formed part of the letter to the Senate. All he needed to do is that I'm going away. And by virtue of this Section 145, the Vice Presidents will act in my absence. Simple. You don't need all these grammatical things. And unfortunately, you know, again, people will praise. The President has done what he is expected to do constitutionally.
Which is what is important.
Which is what is important.
Now, in your opinion, is this controversy necessary?
It is, with respect to all those who are generating it, it is very, very unfortunate. We have a stable presidency. The presidency is stable. The presidency is united. There is a common purpose. There is no division. There is no conflict. So for me, what they should be looking at is that, okay, now that the president is not available for reasons we all know, is how do we sustain the stability of the presidency so that Nigerians, even though we feel for the president because of his circumstances, but that there will be no vacuum, there will be no lacuna. People say, if the president were around, this will not happen. But that unity and stability is what should be promoted now, not the semantics of what he wrote in a letter. No, he hasn't diminished the constitutional provisions.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio. I've been speaking with Rafiu Lawal Rabada, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Now, moving on, Nigeria's former Vice President, Mohammed Namadi Sambo, has paid a visit to the acting president, Yemi Osinbajo. In an interview with the media, the immediate past Vice President, Namadi Sambo, said he was happy with the warm reception he received from the acting president and some of his former staff, but declined comments on when prompted to say what the visit was all about.
Visit Mr. Vice President and the acting president. As a usual, familiarization visit. As you know, former president, they visit Mr. President. And we also, as the former vice president, we visit our colleague, the vice president. I am happy to see all of you, our old colleagues here. And I want to thank you very much for this very good reception. Thank you.
Former Nigeria's Vice President, Mohammed Namadi Sambo. The wife of the president, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has assured of her continued support for the 82 freed Chibok schoolgirls towards ensuring they resume their normal life. Mrs. Buhari stated this when she met with the girls in Abuja. State House correspondent Aliyu Kabir was there and now reports.
These are the 82 Chibok girls released by their captors on Saturday, the 6th of May, 2017, greeting the wife of the president as she paid them a visit to rejoice with them and to encourage them that they are loved by all. Mrs. Buhari, who was accompanied by the wife of the Vice President, Dolapo Osinbajo, the governor's wives and her aides, assured the girls that their future is bright. While expressing her gratitude to all the mediators for facilitating the release of the girls, the wife of the president called on them to forget their past and concentrate seriously on their studies and acquire skills to support their lives. While calling on all and sundry to support them as they are about to be reunited with their family, the wife of the president is optimistic that the remaining girls will soon be released.
When you were away, I met with your parents severally, and we shared their sorrows. We cried together, and we prayed together. And as a result of that, I strongly believe that God answered our prayers by getting you people back to our hands safely.
As Her Excellency said, we all cried and prayed for you for so many years, and it's a great joy to have you here.
The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, and that of Women Affairs, Aisha Jumai Al-Hassan, assured the wife of the president that they are always with her in her humanitarian gesture and promised to sustain the spirit in ensuring that they are reintegrated back to the society.
And so we want to give those parents whose daughters are not here that we are also negotiating for the release of their daughters, and we hope that it not will take as long as the interval between the first and second one.
And I want to thank you most sincerely for the good work, humanitarian work we are doing, especially in the Northeast.
On behalf of my sisters, the governor's wives, I wish you well.
Mrs. Buhari presented some gift items to the girls, indicating her motherly responsibility. In Abuja, Aliyu Kabir, NTA News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says its decision to fix the date for the 2019 general elections and subsequent general elections on the second Saturday of February is to ensure timely and adequate preparation of all participants and for a more transparent procedure for elections. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu stated this during a visit by the United States Ambassador. Political correspondent Ifeanyi Okafor has that report.
The INEC chairman described democracy in Nigeria as a steadily progressive journey from one general election to another. Professor Mahmoud Yakubu said the commission had developed a strategic plan and effective partnership and cooperation with all stakeholders. This is to ensure that the 2019 general election is even more successful than that of 2015. He cited ongoing nationwide continuous voter registration exercise as a fresh opportunity to get citizens onto the voters' register.
In spite of the numerous elections that we have conducted since the 2015 general elections, and so far we have conducted 168 elections. The last election was about 2 weeks ago in Delta. The next election is about 2 weeks to come in Katsina.
The United States ambassador observed that the validity of the electoral process, particularly the 2015 general election, was proven by the wide acceptance and massive jubilation which followed the outcome of the election. Ambassador Stuart Simonton advised government to develop and implement people-oriented policies and programs, while the electoral umpire perfect a process of uncompromised integrity. The visit of the U.S. ambassador and his team begins a new relationship with INEC, especially in efforts to seek deployment of technology for credibility in elections. From the INEC headquarters, Abuja, Ifeanyi Okafor, NTA News.
And we go to the judiciary now. The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, says the process of Nigeria's fight against corruption is being continually reviewed within international accepted standards. He stated this at the opening of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption Peer Review of Nigeria. Femi Okeo has that report.
The peer review by the United Nations Convention Against Corruption is a process whereby the 181 state parties for the convention examine each other's performance as it concerns specific areas in the convention. This is the second such review for Nigeria, and this time it is by Myanmar and Cote d'Ivoire, a process which the Attorney General of the Federation says is impacting positively on the fight against corruption in Nigeria.
The undertones of all these reforms translated to the promulgation of Proceeds of Crime Act, among others, in addition to some associated whistleblowers legislative processes that are transmitted to the National Assembly for passage into law.
Chapters 2 and 5, which focus on preventive measures and asset recovery, are the areas in which Nigeria is being reviewed.
After this process, Nigeria will also go out and review a West African country and then one other country in another continent, still under the tutelage of the United Nations.
It tells you what is on the ground, what is actually happening. Nigeria will be able to know who is doing what. And I'm telling you, we are ahead of everybody. I'm not going to preempt the outcome of the peer review if it is based on actual.
Although the conceptualization of anti-corruption conventions are generally seen as processes of the elite, its impact is expected to be felt even on the streets of Nigeria. That is what the peer review sets out to achieve. In Abuja, Femi Okeo, NTA News.
And at the National Assembly, the Senate has been busy making laws. A bill for an act to repeal Nigerian Postal Service has passed second reading at the Senate. National Assembly correspondent Waziri Zayanu reports that the bill is meant to provide for the operation and development of postal services and the establishment of the Nigerian Postal Commission.
Sponsor of the bill, Senator Gilbert Naji Enugu, said the bill is a repeal of existing NIPOST Act meant to reenact a new legislation to cater for the far-reaching reforms in the postal industry.
It is proposed as a catalyst to encourage local and foreign investment in Nigeria postal industry.
Another bill that passed second reading is that of an act to establish the Federal University Geshua, sponsored by the Senate leader Ahmad Lawal.
This bill is well organized for its very own purpose of a modern academic and research institution.
That of an act to amend federal colleges of education to align the location of those affected by boundary adjustments in Jigawa State, sponsored by Senator Ubalishi to Jigawa Northeast.
Jigawa Northeast has no single federal education institution or any other one for that matter.
Senator Ali Umagataka Dawamaku's bill is for an act to amend the pension reforms to provide for definite percentage a retiree can withdraw from his retirement savings account.
It seeks to provide soccer to retirees in the delay and other difficulties they stumble upon in withdrawing their savings from retirement savings account.
We continue to support our citizens, both old and new, to ensure that they have a good life.
The Senate will tomorrow critically consider the 2017 budget. From the National Assembly, Wazir Zayan, NTA News.
For the House of Representatives, it has passed for second reading a bill for an act to amend the Compulsory Free Universal Basic Education Act of 2004. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Unko reports that the bill also seeks to provide for the return of unused federal government grants for books and rehabilitation of delinquent children.
The Compulsory Free Universal Basic Education Law in Nigeria seeks to provide unhindered access to basic education to all Nigerian children. But the law ab initio provides that federal government should provide books in the form of grants to state governments. But it appears that some of these grants are not, in most cases, fully utilized by state governments. And that is why members of the House of Representatives are considering a bill that seeks to ensure that any unused grant is returned to the federal government, as sponsored by Representative Muhammad Mahmood.
Make parents who are resident abroad but whose children reside in Nigeria liable to obligation imposed by the Act.
And to agriculture, where members also passed for second reading a bill for an act to establish the Agricultural Produce Price Control Agency of Nigeria, aimed at ensuring adequate distribution of inputs to farmers, sponsored by Representative Ali Isa.
The bill for an act to establish Agricultural Price Control Agency will assist government in facilitating farming in all its ramifications.
To bring back the good old days of these commodity boards that are charged with the responsibility of stabilizing the prices of agricultural commodities.
Give technical input and support to the farmers to be able to optimally produce our cash crops.
Members implored the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, the Department of Petroleum Resources and international oil companies to stop gas flaring in Nigeria. This came in a motion moved by Representative Johnson Abonayima.
Gas flaring results in the release of methane, which is accompanied by other greenhouse gases that account for about 50% of all industrial emissions in the country.
The legislators commended the effort of the federal government in the fight against insurgency and advised authorities to compensate and to pursue with vigor its rehabilitation and rebuilding policy, as moved by Representative Goni Bukar Lawan from Yobe State. The House advised authorities to beef up security in Takum and Osa local government areas of Taraba State, first by communal clashes. Members adopted a motion for the Federal Minister of Youth and Sports to postpone the planned election into the National Sports Federation and to recall members of the board that were dissolved, moved by Representative Joseph Ayodeji from Lagos State. The House observed a minute silence in honor of one of its former members, Charles Odogu from Delta State, who died on the 6th of April 2017. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
And still on ways of resolving the herdsmen-farmers clashes, the need for enforcement of appropriate laws pertaining to grazing in Nigeria has again been stressed. Guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria reiterated this while discussing the topic, resolving lingering herdsmen-farmers clashes in Nigeria. Oyeyemi Ajayi has the details.
Persistent farmers' heads in Nigeria has continued to be a source of concern to all.
Thousands of deaths recorded in Agatu local government between 2013 and 2017, with some other records in different communities in the country. The menace must be tackled headlong. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria attributed failure of the system, ethnicity, redundancy and weakness of institutions as some of the causes of the recurring conflicts.
We had a system in which the traditional institutions get involved with it, and the herdsman, is made to compensate immediately. What we are seeing today has to do with failure of system.
Where is the budgetary provision in any of the states that has actually targeted the welfare of that herdsman?
What is the major setback is there is no constitutional provision.
On the planned National Security Summit to address the persistent crisis with the theme, Farmers Herdsmen Clashes, Forging Partnership, the guests said the traditional rulers not be strengthened but be given a voice.
Let all these institutions and let there be deliberate enforcement of the multitude of laws that we have in this country.
I've actually been one of those who had advocated for a role for traditional rulers, because when they are recognized, they will play their roles genuinely and honestly too.
We are determined actually to see that this one becomes different from what we have had in the past.
As Nigerians await the outcome of the National Summit, it is hoped that resolutions to be reached at the meeting might put a total stop to the recurring clashes in the country. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
The federal government will be partnering with the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, to take the Change Begins With Me campaign to universities across the country. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, stated this when he granted audience to the leadership of NANS in his office in Abuja. Anthony Forson reports.
The minister said Nigerian students remain a critical segment of the society with a capacity that can effectively drive the national reorientation campaign to success.
The biggest news you've given me today is your readiness to work with us on Change Begins With Me. I see Change Begins With Me as the greatest legacy this government can leave. And it's not by accident that in our campaign, Change Begins With Me, even our theme is about students.
He said the Change Begins With Me campaign is about attitudinal change, adding that there is a dire need for a departure from the way of doing things, starting from punctuality, honesty, and integrity. While acknowledging NAN's commendation for the federal government's rescue of the 82 Chibok schoolgirls, he maintained that there are ongoing efforts to secure the release of the remaining girls because government, he said, is working for the total restoration of peace and security to the northeast and other parts of the country.
We promise we are going to fight insecurity. We promise we are going to fight against corruption. We promise that we are going to fix the economy. And I'm very proud here to say that we have been very much on course. Our success in fighting insecurity is there for everybody to see.
On the state of the economy, which was crippled by the crash in crude oil prices and corruption, the federal government has remained focused in fighting corruption and diversifying the economy away from oil in order to insulate the country from the volatility of crude oil prices. Earlier, the national president of NANS, Aruna Kadiri, hailed the government for the rescue of the 82 Chibok girls and expressed the association's resolve to partner with the federal government in the national reorientation campaign, noting that students and ordinary Nigerians should be the ones driving the campaign. He also commended the minister for working hard to bridge the communication gap between government and the people. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. The Nigerian Union of Teachers takes a hard look at commercialization of education. The details when we return in just a moment. Stay with us.
Kings of African comedy gather under one roof.
There is only one outcome. Then we bring down the roof.
Come witness the craziest.
And the funniest, the oh my God! And the baddest of them all.
Laughter will scatter your brain well.
Come watch the biggest names in African comedy at Glow Laughter Fest. Basket Mouth, Bovi, I Go Die, Sheyi Law, Gordons, Salvador, Osama, Bash, Kenny Black, and many more.
You will never have a bigger gathering of jaw-dropping, whip-cracking comedians under one roof.
One microphone, one network.
All over Nigeria. Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
I am gonna be there. I'm going to be there.
Live and direct.
For the time of your life.
Will you?
To win a free ticket, use 2,000 Naira in a month and text LOL and your preferred location to 240.
Oh, Laughter Fest. Laugh go kill you, die.
True.
Glow Unlimited.
I can't believe she just rejected me and my camera.
She rejected my lights.
How can she not want makeup?
Maybe when the battery dies, she'll come back to us.
Nah, not with a 4,000 milliampere battery.
Experience the best selfies of your life. Gioni A1 Super Selfie Super Battery.
On behalf of the Coastal State Government and the State Governor, Right Honorable Aminu Masari and Committee on Vice President Visit, as well as the entire people of the state, welcome the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, the Acting President, on a one-day official visit to the state for the launching of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic, the Vice President Office initiative aimed at developing the grassroots economy in the country. The event is scheduled to take place on Thursday, 11th May 2017. Venue, Casino State Secretariat Conference Room. The good people of Casino State are proud to be associated with laudable initiative of President Buhari's administration in the country. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Long live Casino State, home of hospitality. Alhaji Abubakar Yusuf, Commissioner, Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Tourism, and Chairman, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic Inauguration Committee. Announcer.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth is in our people. People who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Where are you and your son rushing to at this time of the day?
To enroll him at Science and Technical College, of course.
Enroll him at Science and Technical College?
Yes. So you don't know that in line with the change agenda of the federal government, the Federal Ministry of Education is repositioning science and technical colleges across the nation to train and produce high-quality craftsmen, artisans, and technicians for national development.
Is that so?
Yes, this will revamp our economy, take our youths out of the labor market, and make our children employers of labor.
This is good news. I must enroll my daughter because this is where the future lies.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Education, Technology and Science Education Department.
In support of the Buhari administration's resolve to encourage Nigerians to boost local production, consumption of agricultural products, and discouraging importation of agricultural commodities, the Senate Committee on Agriculture and the House Committee on Agricultural Production and Services invites the following stakeholders to an interactive session on the activities of smugglers of agricultural commodities. The stakeholders include the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Governor, Central Bank of Nigeria, Controller General, Nigeria Customs Service, Dangote Group, times, amongst others. Dates: Thursday, 11th May 2017. Venue: Senate Conference Room 231, Senate New Building. Time: 12 noon. Senator Abdullahi Adamu, Chairman, Senate Committee on Agriculture. Announcer.
The NTA TV College, an affiliate of the prestigious Ahmad Bello University Zaria, wishes to invite the public to the closing ceremony and presentation of certificates of its capacity building youth empowerment training program in camera operation techniques designed to rehabilitate 102 internally displaced persons in northeast Nigeria by building their capacities and empowering them to fend for themselves. Under the chairmanship of the Federal Commissioner, Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Sadia Umar Farouk. Chief host, His Excellency, the Governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong. Special guest of honor, the Governor of Borno State, Kasim Shatima. Host, the Director General of NTA, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad. Date, Friday, 12th May 2017. Venue, NTA TV College Auditorium, Rayfield, Jos. Time, 10 a.m. Management announcer.
It's good to have you back on NTA News Extra tonight. The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Usani Guru Usani, says his office is open to receiving first-hand information from members of the communities on the status of projects in their areas. He said this when he met with members of the Supreme Council of Oil and Gas Producing Areas of Imo State in Abuja. Joseph Johnson has that report.
Having found a lot of discrepancies in projects awarded by the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs in Imo State, the minister lamented that the people in the oil and gas producing areas suffer more deprivations in the state.
We know that those we send to monitor these jobs connive with contractors and don't give proper reports. So we want to rely on community reports. For those who have not fulfilled their applications, our intention is to send their names to EFCC.
The leader of the delegation of the Supreme Council of Oil and Gas Producing Areas of Imo State, Chief Esom Obodo, narrated woes of the areas, which he said encourage youth restiveness in the region.
One of our problems is diversion of projects. Projects meant for oil producing areas in Imo State are diverted to other non-producing areas of the same state.
Until November 2016, the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) has been operating independently from the ministry. The process of getting approval for the auditing of all projects of the commission is, however, ongoing. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
And in a bid to realize the federal government's mandate of deploying the nation's gas resources to stimulate growth, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) and its partners have evolved a scheme to grow gas supply for domestic consumption by 285% from 1.3 billion standard cubic feet per day to 5 billion standard cubic feet by the year 2020. This was at the 7th Critical Gas Development Project Stakeholders Meeting on Tuesday at the NNPC Towers in Abuja. The stakeholders, made up of the NNPC and 7 other oil and gas companies, listed the 7 projects earmarked for fast-tracking execution to meet the 285% domestic gas supply growth projection, to include Asa North or Haji South field development, among other projects. The Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Mekantu Baru, stated that the federal government has directed the corporation to pursue gas development to jumpstart the national economic growth. Stakeholders of Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, NLNG, have urged Nigerians to get acquainted with the likely consequences of the NLNG fiscal incentives, guarantees and assurances bill currently before the National Assembly. The General Manager, External Relations, Kudo Erisia Eke, stated this while briefing journalists on the proposed act. Lynn Leneke completes the report.
Representatives on Tuesday, May 9, 2017, passed a bill seeking to amend the Nigeria LNG Act. The proposed amendment, titled NLNG Fiscal Incentives, Guarantees and Assures Bill, is aimed at subjecting the company to 3% Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) levy. It is against this background that the company seeks to put on record the dangers that may befall Nigerians and the losses it would incur on the economy if the bill is eventually passed into law. General Manager, External Relations, Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, Kudo Eresia Eke, explained that any amendment will also lead to an immediate potential loss of foreign direct investment of $25 billion US.
15 billion. By gas produced.
Sorry for the interruption in that film report from our Lagos end. Now, worried about what it considers as the commercialization and privatization of education, the Nigerian Union of Teachers is stressing it to denying many children access to learning and contributing to the falling standards of education. This is why the union is drawing attention to urgent correction as they converge on Abuja in what could be predicated on the change agenda. Abdullahi Musa Suleja looks at some of the factors.
There is no gainsaying that education is a bedrock for development, as much as it benefits many for access to knowledge and hastening specialization process. In early days after independence, in spite of what they earned, teachers gave their best within the public school system, gradually paving the way for the dominance of the system by private schools. Fees rose and other need for education and individual also went high, though remuneration for teachers did not go the same way. But more fundamental to teachers is the quantum of education given is not commensurate with the fees being charged. The National Union of Teachers at a workshop on commercialization and privatization of education said such venture denies Nigerian populace the right to have sound and qualitative education.
It is anti-people. Commercialization, every businessman will venture into that enterprise with a view of making profit. It is another way of producing modern-day slavery in our academic sector.
Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, TCN, also added its voice.
It also includes exploitation for maximizing profits. The way and manner private education is sold to the Nigerian citizens tantamounts to exploitation.
The cancer of commercialization and privatization of education, without a doubt, puts at risk the achievement of quality, free education for all.
The teachers are asking the government to address the issue to save the profession and the education system. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
And still on education. With the death of 3 students of Queen's College, Lagos, within a space of 2 months, former and current principal of the Unity School, as well as former and current PTA chairman, have appeared before the House Committee on Basic Education. National Assembly correspondent Dennis Adeguloye reports that the deaths were sequel to an alarming number of students taken ill at the school with contaminated water identified as a possible cause.
This was indeed a very sad period in the history of Queen's College, Lagos, where the deaths of 3 promising students occurred in such a short space of time, and they coincided with the tenure of the former principal of the school, Dr. Lami Amodu, who explains in some detail steps she took to sanitize the institution.
Effective checks on all the items directly consumed by the students. And I said they should also ensure that students drink only from the designated points.
She emphasized that students had responded to treatment and the deaths, which had not been linked to the cases of vomiting and stooling, had occurred outside the school premises. However, it was agreed that the water supplied to the school should be tested, and the water project was a major focus at the start of her tenure, which was met with challenges.
The water treatment plant here need to be overhauled. The results from the 2 laboratories show high bacterial content in the water samples.
There were some failed boreholes. We revived them. We dug new ones.
And because when we came in, there was no fund at all.
This case of sabotage. There are cases of lapses in terms of supervision. The federal government definitely must step up its budgetary provision for unity schools.
The Minister of Education is expected to appear before the committee on May the 16th to engage it on policy directives to prevent a reoccurrence. From the National Assembly, Dennis Adignoye, NTA News.
And on the health sector, about 2,000 women, youths and children have benefited from free medical services and other gestures at the internally displaced persons camp in Durumi within the Federal Capital Territory. This is courtesy of the Future Assured program of the Wife of the President in collaboration with a non-governmental organization. State House correspondent Aliyu Kabir gives us the details.
This is Durumi IDP camp located within the Federal Capital Territory, providing shelter to over 2,000 victims affected by the activities of the insurgents in the northeast. The provision of basic amenities and other necessary support is what they required in sustaining their lives before relocating to their original settlement. This is the second time Future Assured team is visiting the camp in an effort of providing succor to the victims. This time, Future Assured has collaborated with non-governmental organization known as Cry for Help in providing these services. These include the provision of health services comprising screening of blood sugar and blood pressure, routine tests and drugs for pregnant women, treatment of malaria as well as cough syrup for children. Other gestures include provision of relief materials such as rice, mats, wrappers, cosmetics and souvenirs, and other essential commodities. The health facilitator of the program, Mariam Hadi, explained that the wife of the president remained committed in safeguarding the lives of women, children, and other less privileged in the society.
We are also here to provide individuals living in this camp with clothes. This is all part of Her Excellency's efforts towards improving the health, well-being and living condition of the internally displaced population.
So we have doctors, we have nurses, we have lab scientists for screening, we have pharmacists for drugs, and basically it's just reasonably comprehensive, medical care.
May God continue to bless her.
The beneficiaries expressed their happiness with this gesture. From Durumi IDP camp in Abuja, Aliyu Kabir, NTA News.
And elsewhere in the country, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has distributed relief materials to victims of a recent rainstorm disaster. Our correspondent Mustafa Mehaja reports that this is in Mayama Council area of Kebbi State.
Rice, beans, maize, blankets, mosquito nets, mattresses, cement, roofing sheets and ceiling. Each victim received 5 bags of rice and maize, half bag of beans, 5 bundles of roofing sheets, 5 bags of cement, as well as 5 pieces of blankets and mosquito nets. Addressing the victims, Director General National Emergency Management Agency, Engineer Mustafa Mehaja, who conveyed the sympathy message of the acting president, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, described the incident as unfortunate.
NEMA is a very professional organization with well-trained personnel, and we are positioning ourselves to turn around the organization for a better and effective operations.
Some of the victims expressed appreciation to NEMA for coming to their aid. Acknowledging the contribution of NEMA to victims of disaster in Kebbi State, Dr. Abakar Atiku Bagudu appealed for collaboration between the state government and NEMA to end the menace of killer birds, considering Kebbi as an aggregated state. Show Muhammad Ati, NTA News.
Sorry about the mix-up there. That was Shehu reporting from Kebbi State. Now, business news will be coming after the break. Join us again.
So tell somebody to tell everybody to come join Maya, baby. And they bring too much sauce. Glow Mega Music Tour. It's gonna be a mad over your 10. You're ready to win a show stoppers.
I'm your host for the biggest show ever.
If you miss the store, you're gonna miss everything. So join me, guys. Let's turn up.
We'll be storming across Nigeria. I won't be anywhere else.
Everyone who is anyone is going to be there.
All Nigeria's A-list musicians.
One big stage.
Live and direct.
Glow Mega Music Tour all over Nigeria.
So watch out because we dey come.
Let's go!
It's the Glow Mega Music Tour with your favorite anchors and special guest stars. It's gonna be untamed. Text music and your preferred location to 207. Use 2,000 Naira Glow airtime in 1 month to stand in line for your free ticket. So what are you waiting for? The Glow Mega Music Tour.
Glow Unlimited.
On behalf of the Coastal State Government and the State Governor, Right Honorable Aminu Masari and Committee on Vice President Visit, as well as the entire people of the state, welcome the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, the Acting President, on a one-day official visit to the state for the launching of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic, the Vice President Office initiative aimed at developing the grassroots economy in the country. The event is scheduled to take place on Thursday, 11th May 2017. Venue, Coastal State Secretariat Conference Room. The good people of Katsina State are proud to be associated with laudable initiative of President Buhari's administration in the country. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Long live Katsina State, home of hospitality. Alhaji Abubakar Yusuf, Commissioner, Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Tourism, and Chairman, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic Inauguration Committee. Announcer.
That was close.
Yes, luckily I have happy cover.
Oh, I have happy cover too. Sorry about your house.
Actually, I have happy cover also, so.
Get happy. SMS happy to 22865 and we'll call you back.
Maybe he needs happy.
SMS now. Live happy with Leadway Assurance, ensuring happiness since 1970.
I can't believe she just rejected me and my camera.
She rejected my lights. How can she not want makeup?
Maybe when the battery dies, she'll come back to us.
Nah, not with a 4,000 milliampere battery.
Experience the best selfies of your life. Gioni A1 Super Selfie Super Battery.
My promise to my child. I am not your friend. I am your mother. I will stalk you, debate you, and hunt you down if I have to. Because when it comes to protecting you, there's no such thing as too tough. That's why every night, I insist on Baygon Multi-Insect Killer for tough mosquito protection before bedtime. So I know my loved ones can fall asleep protected. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
Can your milk do this?
Can your milk do this? Mine can.
With Hollandia evaporated milk, your ice cream, custards, and variations of beverages taste pleasantly different. Hollandia evaporated milk. Life tastes different.
From the House of Cheese.
Everyday air. Ordinary air. And then there's TomTom Air. There's air, and then there's TomTom Air. What are you breathing? New TomTom 5-piece pack.
Hey, great news! Oral-B has just been voted Kudos #1 quality toothpaste of 2017 by you. So even though times are hard, as a mother, you know that Oral-B is good for your family's oral health because they deserve the best. It's great value because it protects you against tooth holes and gum problems that can lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your family's teeth and gives them all-round protection. So remember, protect their future. Oral-B for healthier and stronger teeth in 1 week.
Welcome back. It's NTA News Extra on the network service of the NTA. In this segment, the federal government intensifies moves to address the 4.3 million metric tons shortfall in rice production for local consumption at Fadama 3. Additional financing enhances productivity of rice farmers through agricultural research and extension services. Ademola Adewi has details on our business news segment.
Good evening and warm welcome to Business News segment. I am Ademola Adeoye. The Agricultural Strategic Implementation Plan of the federal government to make the country self-sufficient and net exporter of rice by the year 2018 is achievable, given the various initiatives captured in the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. The Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Muda Yusuf, stated this in a chat with NTA Business News in Lagos. He, however, highlighted some salient factors to be considered and addressed with a view to actualizing the agricultural transformation policy in rice sufficiency.
With some of the rice mills that we have currently in the country, their main challenge is to have the paddy rice. Most of the machine capacity, the processing capacity, is far in excess of the paddy rice that we grow currently, and the gap is so huge. So we need to mechanize extensively at that end. If we do that, then we support those who are in processing.
Let's now see movement of equities as trading closed for the day on the floor of the Nigerian stock market.
The all-share index of the Nigerian Stock Exchange crossed 27,000 mark for the first time in the year. Volume of shares traded stood at 584.12 million shares, valued at 5.65 billion naira, which swapped hands at 5,121 deals. Market capitalization closed at 9.522 trillion naira. Nestle recorded the highest price gain with 38 naira to close at 798 naira per share, while S-Service traded with a loss of 24 kobo to close at 4 naira 73 kobo.
That's our package on Business News segment. NTA News Extra continues after this time out. Stay tuned.
And still talking business, economic experts say projections of Nigeria being the 19th largest economy by the year 2030 and 14th by the year 2030 from the present third position is feasible, especially with ongoing reforms to ease ways of doing business. This was their standpoint on NTA's Current Affairs program, Tuesday Live. Talatu Ezirike has more on that.
Going by studies, Nigeria has the population and market size as well as entrepreneurial zeal to be world-class economy. These over the years has been hindered by difficulties in doing business occasioned by factors like policies somersault, high interest rates and multiple taxation.
You go here, this council, this union, they come, they say, look, you have to pay for this, you have to pay for the sandboard, you have to pay for local government and what have you. All these are multiple taxation, and this only happens in this part of the world.
Stories analysts say will be history with the practicable reforms being carried out by the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council established by President Muhammadu Buhari in making Nigeria an easier place to do business.
The council has, among other things, removed critical bottlenecks to doing business, ensuring medium and small-scale enterprises have access to credit facilities with enabling laws for sustainability.
Infrastructure, and particularly power, has been a primary focus of the administration, both in the budgeting and in the plan. We've been pushing two laws in partnership with the National Assembly, the Credit Bureau's law, the Credit Bureau Bill, and the National Collateral Registry Bill. And this is a known strategy across the world.
You hear all the time about how wealthy Nigerians are. So in particular this year, we have a domestic direct investor drive that is aimed at encouraging Nigerians to invest in their own country.
For others, thumbs up for the project that galvanizes federal government's Economic Recovery Growth Plan.
Significant
policy planks under the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan is focusing on taxation, not just in terms of increasing revenues, but also making it easier to do business. And then encouraging the local governments particularly, and the states, to reduce the number of taxes they levy.
For all these policies to work, there also is a role for the individual attitudes and orientations of people like me and you and all Nigerians.
There are strong indications of getting the business environment right for the overall growth through transparent and accountable reforms. Talati Ezorike, NTA News.
In the meantime, Katsina State is taking advantage of the federal government's liberal economic policy by reviewing small and medium-scale enterprises as roadmap for sustainable growth using Smeden Clinic template. Vice President Yemi Oshibajo is expected to meet relevant stakeholders in Katsina on Thursday to lend credence to this effort. Bashir Ibrahim Nababa has a preview.
It has an existing database of more than 10,000 small and medium-scale entrepreneurs who will form part of the participants at the meeting with the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, to give Katsina State a new economic direction. With this number of small and medium entrepreneurs who will be the beneficiaries of the Smeden Clinic under short, medium and long-term interventions will assist in bringing moribund enterprises back to life. Dr. Umarada is the Director General Small and Medium Scale Enterprises.
We are bringing all the agencies, all the stakeholders in the government agencies, and then all the macro and small and medium enterprises that are in the state are here, are gathered with their product. We are evaluating the product, evaluating their problems and challenges, and trying to bring a solution to them.
MSME clinic is a clinic whereby the sickness of each corporate businesses, cooperative societies, or individuals can be diagnosed and prescription be given and treated immediately.
This new approach in economic revival through small and medium-scale enterprises will place Katsina State on strategic position, which will promote self-reliance. In Katsina, Bashir Ibrahim Nababa, NTA News.
The Naraguta Leather Works in Jos Plateau State is a national asset for promoting tourism and entrepreneurship drive for the community through employment generation and patronage of its acclaimed unique products in Nigeria and beyond. Hamza Musa Makarfi reports that the 82-year-old industry, despite its milestones, is in search of rebirth.
For the community, which shares the same neighborhood with the Naraguta hostels of the University of Jos along Bauchi Road, it is not just about earning a living, but a calling bequeathed by the vision of one man, Malam Audu Ndagwali, in 1935. It was in these premises, weathered by time, that it all began and blossomed. Yusuf Abdullahi, one of his sons and traditional title holder in Naraguta, says the indigenous trade of fascinating colors projected the community's name worldwide and brought it fame.
The presentation of this leather works is so beautiful, from the crocodile skin to snake. And of course, I may have a cap that matches my dress.
In addition to shoes, bags and other decorative items, Naraguta Leather Works has progressed into intricate specialization.
We call this prosthetics. Prosthetics are artificial limbs ranging from legs, hands, and even ear. Yes. And these are unique. They're light, they're weight friendly, cost friendly, and we make them to the complexion of the person using them.
Although manual labor is for detail and perfection of the products, the industry yearns for modern technology to advance. Similarly, with the policy of promoting entrepreneurship and patronizing made-in-Nigeria products, participants say there are huge opportunities for the training of the unemployed with government partnership.
If the government can provide where the youth will go and sleep and feed them, we are ready to take care of them.
Well, calling investors, we've gone a long way and we're about signing an MOU with Bank of Industries to get about 2 billion to assist these young entrepreneurs.
The residue of hair from the hides and skin is not for the dump sites. It is any farmer's delight as organic fertilizer to grow agriculture in the area. Hamza Musa Magaripi, NTA News.
And taking you back to an earlier story on stakeholders of the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, urging Nigerians to get acquainted with the likely consequences of the NLNG Fiscal Incentive Guarantees and Assurances Bill, currently before the National Assembly. The General Manager, External Relations, Kudo Eurasia Ike, stated this while briefing journalists on the proposed act. Lynn Leneke has the complete report.
Representatives on Tuesday, May 9, 2017, passed a bill seeking to amend the LNG Act. The proposed amendment, titled NLNG Fiscal Incentives, Guarantees and Assures Bill, is aimed at subjecting the company to 3% Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) levy. It is against this background that the company seeks to put on record the dangers that may befall Nigerians and the losses it would incur on the economy if the bill is eventually passed into law. General Manager, External Relations, Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, Kudo Eurasia Eke, explained that any amendment will also lead to an immediate potential loss of foreign direct investment of $25 billion US.
15 billion by gas producing and supplying companies, and 10 billion for construction of the trains themselves.
Kudo Eurasia Eke added that the proposed amendments may also likely affect the potential loss of over 18,000 job opportunities, contrasting with the federal government's employment generation drive.
This will badly damage the reputation of the country, its credit rating, and ability to attract or even retain future investments.
The NLNG stakeholders therefore appeal to good-spirited Nigerians to prevail on the National Assembly to have a rethink on the proposed amendments. In Lagos, Lynn Leneke, NTA News.
We shall be taking another break now for more messages. Join us after the break for more on News Extra.
On behalf of the Coastal State Government and the State Governor, Right Honorable Aminu Masari and Committee on Vice President Visit, as well as the entire people of the state, welcome the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, the Acting President, on a one-day official visit to the state for the launching of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic, the Vice President Office initiative aimed at developing the grassroots economy in the country. The event is scheduled to take place on Thursday, 11th May 2017. Venue, Casino State Secretariat Conference Room. The good people of Casino State are proud to be associated with laudable initiative of President Buhari's administration in the country. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Long live Casino State, home of hospitality. Alhaji Abubakar Yusuf, Commissioner, Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Tourism, and Chairman, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic Inauguration Committee. Announcer.
We are a wonderful, highly nutritious family. Smalley loves hanging out with friends. Selfie keeps you nourished.
Healthy goodness inside and out.
We've got Paddy for celebrating the high points of life with friends. Our active triplets are always on the go. Mixology goes well with all your favorite drinks. Slurp It Off is a first choice for your fast food. And Go-Gurt is like our Ajala, everywhere you need him to be. And then there's me, Jolly Jolly, bringing nourishment to every gathering. Hollandia yogurt is bursting with goodness inside and out. So we've got nourishment for everyone and every moment. Hollandia yogurt, it's all good.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
NAFDAC impacts upon everything we do, including water we drink, the food we eat. They are important organs to the development of this country. And everybody should come out and join them and support them and help them to achieve the greatest benefits and success that they need to the country.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
TV Guide magazine is out with fabulous Fab Funke Akindele Bello, aka Jennifer, adorning the cover. She opens a secret not known even to her family. Find out the secret. NTA turns 40 this year. The challenges, the emerging trends in broadcasting, and the way forward. Weekend Dealer 2. Meet the team behind the biggest deal on NTA. Is food still the way to a man's heart? If not, what else? This edition is hot and juicy. Meet your star faces on screen. Entertainment, fashion, young minds, social media, and great personality.
This is idiosyncratic and heterodox.
Yes, Professor John Bull is on the radar. Find out what makes this program the rave of the moment on NTA Network. And for the Prof,
over and out.
TV Guide. Ask your vendors or book your copy at every NTA station nationwide. TV Guide. Still your indispensable companion.
You're welcome back. You're still on to NTA News Extra on the network service of the NTA. The chairman of the Northern Elders Forum, Yusuf Maitama Suli, says the economic diversification move of the Buhari-led administration is the rightful solution to the problems of unemployment and high rate of poverty in the country. He was speaking during a consultation visit of the forum's leadership to Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje in Kano. Abdullahi Mustafa has that report.
The Northern Elders Forum is a socio-political association comprising elders and leaders of thought from the 19 northern states and the Federal Capital Territory. Its chairman, a First Republic Minister Alhaji Yusuf Maitama Suli, informed Governor Ganduje that the major issues to be discussed are unity among northern people, irrespective of ethnicity and religion.
He said that he wanted to make the north green throughout the year. During the rainy season, we have rainfall. And during the dry season, we use the dams from our major rivers to do dry season irrigation.
We must go back to agriculture. We in the Northern Governors Forum, we believed in him and we decided to take up issues according to our comparative advantages in the north.
With the encouragement from the federal government, the governor stated Kano state rice and wheat production has increased significantly. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
And in Nasarawa, the state government is boosting agricultural production in line with the setting up of additional 5 fertilizer blending plants to increase production capacity. Correspondent Joshua Ojito reports that the drive is aligned with the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, which encourages local production of fertilizer.
At present, Nasarawa State has one fertilizer blending plant which is obsolete, leaving the state with the option of buying fertilizer outside the state year in, year out for farmers. But with the signing of Memorandum of Understanding between the Nasarawa State government and Chinese investors, it's now opened a new window of agricultural revolution in the state, as the state will now produce its fertilizer locally to meet farmers' demand. The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Nasarawa State government and the Chinese investors was a fallout of the recent trip of Governor Umaru Tankal Mokura to China to woo investors that will invest in solid minerals, agriculture and real estate. Already, fertilizer blending machines have been procured from China to set up the fertilizer blending plants in Lafia and other major towns across the 3 senatorial districts of the state.
We intend to install the bulk type. With that, we will be able to produce about 30 to 40 tons every hour.
While in the state, the Chinese investors visited the State College of Agriculture, Lafia, and the existing fertilizer blending plant in Lafia with a view to upgrade its facilities. In Lafia, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Away from agriculture, overspeeding has proven to be directly related to the likelihood of a road crash occurring with the attendant severe consequences. In this next special report, Adebola Brooksland Sunday takes a look at efforts to minimize road crashes in the country.
The fact that people get into their cars to drive or use public transport means that they intend to arrive somewhere safe. But oftentimes, their journeys meet dead ends. That's talking about
as a result of their injuries.
I have a minimum of speed that even especially inside town.
But the hurry make her reach my office, the place where they work. That's where they run.
Building or modifying roads to include features that calm traffic, establishing speed limits to the function of each road, as well as raising awareness about the dangers of overspeeding are some measures that have helped to reduce road crashes in developed countries.
The greatest that I'm battling with today has to do with excessive overloading on top of the vehicle and putting human beings in the boat is so barbaric an act of lawlessness. We remain focused, continue to engage the unions to enable them reason.
In the developed countries, they comply to rules, set rules, and all that. If people can comply to set rules, then you don't need speed limiting device.
Road crashes are issues that we can prevent.
Dele Yaro is the director, Vehicle Inspection Office. He recommends constant check on vehicles before plying the roads.
You realize that a vehicle that is looking beautiful, fine, looking very beautiful, has some defects when it is tested by the computer. Those things you cannot visually see, even by the mechanics, but to be detected by the computer. And the advice is, when your vehicle is to be repaired, don't be in a haste. After repairing your vehicles, you are advised to go to test run the vehicle for about 2-3 days to confirm that the vehicle is actually roadworthy.
Speed can be managed, but because of the psyche of our drivers, majority of them are in a hurry. They want to go and make their money, and they don't care what the consequences of speed is.
Road crashes, which analysts believe cost most countries about 3% of their gross domestic products, GDP. Without sustained action, the same is predicted to become the 7th leading cause of death by the year 2030. Key players, therefore, are expected to continue their awareness creation with the expectation that road users will continue to take precautionary measures. Adebola, Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Up next, global tidbits and sports. Join us again.
We unite. We defy. We hope. We dream. We play. We are fire in our hearts. We are made of black.
The family of Elder John Adeniyi Mesele of Ayetoro Bede Ijumu local government area of Kogi State announces the burial ceremony of our beloved wife, mother and grandmother, Dickness Lydia Aderewa Abosede Mesele, nee Omole, aged 69 years, who slept in the Lord on 29th March 2017. Burial arrangements 11th May 2017. Wake keep and service of songs at Clow Event Center, 23 at Debisi Omotola Street, Isolo, Lagos by 4 p.m. 12th May, Lion State at her residence, 16 at Siriabo Street off Osolo Way near Holy Saviour's College, Isolo by 8 a.m. Interment at Ikoyi Cemetery, Ikoyi, Lagos by 10 to 11 a.m. Funeral outing and Thanksgiving service at Apostolic Church, Nigeria, 2324 Church Street, Jakande Estate, Okeafa, Isolo by 12 to 2 p.m. Reception at Hillcrest Event Center, 46 Agor Palace Way, Okota, Lagos by 3 p.m. May her gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. Elder John Mesele, husband, announcer.
You're welcome back. And for reports from other parts of the globe, here is Uche Mwizu.
Lawyers for